Welcome back to Talking Transition. Today's guest is current Liverpool women's footballer, Missy Bo Kearns. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Give us a little bit of background about a young girl playing football.
Growing up, I just remember I was surrounded by boys. I used to play in the garden at first with my cousins, and then ended up signing for a team that was in the same league as my cousins, Mossley Hill, playing with the boys, being the only girl on Hare and Eccles every single week. And then I also signed for a girls' team, so I was playing like on Saturday, Sundays, but I loved playing with the boys and was with them until I got told that girls and boys can't play together no more. So then, luckily enough, I got trials for Everton. Went to them, they wanted me, but then when I was there, I realised that there obviously must be a Liverpool setup. So when I was playing for Mossley Hill, Liverpool were there watching Curtis, and I found out you could get trials for Liverpool and went to them and never looked back since.
So when you was growing up, obviously playing with your cousins and all that, you said that you used to start off in goal and then you started playing out and then you was getting stuck into them, tackling them and all that. Do you think that helped you, obviously playing with lads when you was younger?
Yeah, I think the best thing that I realised was not to stand in the goal and let them shoot at me, and was get involved. And I think playing with the boys, it's a lot, it does bring your game on, and it brings on that like biting your lip, and it's a lot more aggressive and stuff at a young age. But I didn't know no difference. But now when you see like girls teams who play against boys teams, because I know it happens, you can see the difference. Technically at a young age, there's no difference. It's just the size and the physicality. And I think until you're like 12, 13, the technical side stays the same until boys start shooting up and the girls just stay the same.
Well,
size.
obviously you can say boys shooting up and all that, but I've been waiting for my growth spurt for a while now. It still hasn't come. But
no, I always remember Missy, when we trained together in the past, I always remember you talking about the pace being a big factor, and as you transitioned, you was used to like the game being a lot faster. So you was always like a big advocate for younger girls playing in the lads teams, so that they was like maybe prepared for that pace, that step up in pace when they go up to the first team and stuff like that.
Yeah, 100%. Especially when I was younger, there wasn't much girls teams. Like you couldn't probably run a girls league because there wouldn't be enough girls to build the league and the teams. So I knew no different, but now I know that there's plenty of girls leagues and stuff, and top teams that are in the leagues, they get put in boys leagues because
they're good enough to play,
and they're good enough to play. And I think when they play other girls teams, they're hammering them, but they're ready to compete with the boys because they've been playing with boys for 5-6 years, so that's what they're used to. So then it's obviously like that balance, but I think it's massive the way the game's going and growing, and it's quite exciting to be honest.
Well, the women's game is growing now, but back when you was a kid, obviously you weren't as big then. So how was it being in school and stuff like that? Obviously having a love for football and wanting to play football. How was that in school?
I used to get told you've got to do your education. It's very important. There's not a pathway like you need
for girls for football.
For girls for football, you need to worry. And as soon as I was signed for Liverpool, I said I'm going to play for Liverpool. Didn't know it would be for the women's, but it was like I'm going to play for Liverpool. Growing up, I wanted to play on Anfield with Gerrard. Like I thought nothing was going to stop me. And obviously, as I got older, I realised there was a women's team that I could play for and stuff, and then that was all my mindset was on is now I'm going to play. My nan would be like, oh, well, you need to have a backup plan, and it was just like, no, I'm going to play for Liverpool.
Was you just fully focused on that?
Yeah.
Your mindset was always just, I'm going to play for Liverpool?
Yeah.
It's probably that drive, that kind of, that relentlessness, which has obviously got you to where you are right now, isn't it? But for some context, you mentioned Curtis before. Obviously, for anyone who's listening, I think you're alluding to Curtis Jones.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's gone on to massive things now, being a local lad as well. Could you see like he was special?
Yeah, you know. So he'd get the ball and he'd take a player on once, and then wouldn't go and score. He'd come back to take them on again.
To take the piss out of them.
Just to,
I feel like
'cause
he does that
knew-
now in the Premier as well, doesn't he?
like,
You know?
he just knows he's so good with the ball at his feet, and he has been since we were 6. And it was like every time he got the ball, he didn't give it away like now. And he always would score 3-4 a game, and was just so calm. And it was just natural to him. Like some players, it's just natural. They've got the talent, and he's obviously had to continue to work hard when he signed for Liverpool. He's been through every single age group, and he deserves everything because he's always worked hard for it from a young age.
So when you said before that Liverpool come to watch him, is that when you got scouted as well, when they come to watch him?
Well, that's when it got raised. There was the women's team and the trials were coming up, and they wanted me to go, yeah.
And did you have any like women's footballer that you looked up to back then, or was it always just like Gerrard? For most kids in Liverpool, was Gerrard?
At first it was just Gerrard, but then when I got the trials for Everton, it was through the youth club. Tony Duggan used to go to that youth club, and she come down and see me playing with all the boys in there, and she was the one that said to Everton, you need to have a look at me. And Tony's always been someone I looked up to because we're still mates now, and there's obviously a big age gap between us. Not saying she's old, but like we've always had that good relationship. She'd always have time and tell me to work hard. Even in the derbies now when we play against each other, she's telling me keep going, keep doing what you're doing. And I think she was probably the only women's footballer I knew back then.
I think with the youth club side of it as well, it probably shows in your game a little bit. And obviously Curtis has come from like street football and background as well. Both of you are quite flair players, aren't you? How important do you think that playing football with your mates locally and things like that in the youth clubs was to your development?
I think it's like the freedom side of it. So like if you was playing in the youth club, you'd try and do things to laugh at your mates if you got past them. Like in the youth club, there was no outs, you could bounce it off the wall. So if you could do a flick and bounce it off the wall and get it the other side and score, you'd be laughing at the player who you'd done it to. And I think it's just that like cocky, cheeky attitude that brought into you from a young age because you've got no choice. You don't do it to them, they're going to do it to you. So I think that's what you see in the type of player I am, and same with Curtis. And I think not only us two, you can see which kids and Premier League players or players in the WSL who've played on the streets. I think you can just tell that they're natural with a ball at the feet.
Yeah, I agree.
They don't.
I actually played in the streets a lot, but I generally don't have that. I don't know why. But
No, our generation is that generation that probably the final generation of kids playing football in the streets. Or obviously there's youth clubs now, isn't there? But there's not as many, I guess. But the street football, it does. I think with those people who play, the game doesn't change no matter what level they go to. You know what I mean? Like the likes of like Sancho and people like that.
Foden,
obviously, yeah, Foden, yeah, massive example, especially after last night. But
I think the goals are good for that, isn't it? You know, like the small five-a-sides and all that, the Astros, I don't know, and the cages, they call the cages, don't they, in London? And that.
it's like, yeah, it's like the arrogance as well, though, isn't it? Like, as you say, you know, you're trying to do it against your mates, but now it's obviously, the stakes are a lot more heightened, but that's in your game, it's instilled in you, so it's not going to change realistically, is
and
it?
I feel like the players that we've said there, when they're on a pitch, I reckon they just feel like they're playing in the back garden because they're that humble and they're that used to just playing in the garden. It just comes natural to them. I don't think they overthink the games and scenarios that they're playing in, and that's what makes them so good.
You know what, we said that last time, that we think the best footballers are just not overthinkers. They just go out there and just play without like worrying about the outcome. Like they don't overthink anything. Can't remember who it was. Who
It was Hope who mentioned about Ross.
Yeah.
He said about his being intellectually clever and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He said on the pitch, very clever. Dill's laughing because he remembers it, doesn't he? But yeah, so what age did you get picked up for Everton? And well, obviously the trials come about.
Well, signed for Liverpool when I was 8, so I was 7, 8. I think, yeah, 7, 8. So
you're in the system, obviously going each year, progressing and getting better and better.
So that was the first age group in the women's, where like in the boys they get you when you're 4 or 5.
Yeah. Starts a lot earlier now, doesn't it?
8 was the youngest you could go. So I've been through every single age group that was possible. But when I got to under 15s with the girls, you won't probably know this, it used to be under 11s under 13s, under 15s, under 17s, reserves, and first team. It was every 2 years, so the competitiveness was higher and the quality was higher. But then obviously 1 year you're going to be a younger, the next year you would be an older. But when I got to under 15s, I was meant to have 2 years at under 17s before reserves, and you had to be 16 to play in the reserves due to like safety and whatever. They changed the things, so it went then to even numbers. So it was 10s, 12s, 14s, 16s. So I only had 1 year at under 16s, and then I was in the reserves.
Straight away.
And as soon as I was 16, and I remember there was like 7 midfielders there, and every minute growing up, I played predominantly. And I remember the manager saying, "You're young." There was players, like one of my best mates was in the team, Lizzie Earle. She was 2 years older than me, like really good player. They were all a few years older than me, really. And they said, "You're 7th choice midfielder right now. Like, you're going to have to prove it. You're not just walking into the reserves team and getting in." And by the end of the season, I was playing every game. So I think just them little things have not motivated no one's stopping me, even if you're saying things to me from a young age. It didn't affect me, and I think that's what's made me be successful so far.
That would be around the time as well when you was playing for England under 15s, and then there was the time where the camp was getting picked for the Euros, and you weren't in the 2 camps leading up to the Euros, and you had a bit of a setback not getting picked, and you had that motivation and determination to make sure you got into the Euro squad. But you said it was the first time you had like a little kick where you needed to knuckle down more and all that. Talk us through that.
So that was the same season. So because I wasn't obviously playing regular minutes,
you didn't get picked.
You're not going to get picked. So it wasn't my own doing. It was out of my control. But England are obviously massive. You need to be playing because if players in your position are playing, they're learning, and that's important to them. So obviously that happened, and then I got 2 camps. I didn't get selected, and it was like, well, there's a Euros coming up, like what's going on? So I just had to keep working hard, and we know how football works. When you get your chance, as an attacking midfielder, you've got to score or assist, and then you might get a chance the next game to start, and that's what I done at Liverpool. So then I started getting consistent minutes, and the next international break come round and I was back in, and it was the qualifiers. So we had to play 3 games. You had to top the group to go through. So I didn't start the first game, come on the second game, done well, and then done well in the last game and went the Euros. From then we qualified, and unfortunately in the semis against Germany I had ruptured my ligaments in my ankle, and I had to miss the playoff, which would have brought us to the World Cup. But I was off, and I was gutted, young, first injury, didn't have a clue, and I got a phone call off the first team manager saying, because this was in May, June time, saying, "We want you back fit for pre-season tour, we want you to come with us." So I'm like, I'm still in a boot at this point. I'm like, oh. So I didn't really have a summer. That summer I was doing my rehab and whatever. Went on tour with the first team, come back, played in a game, and my first 50-50, I'd done it again.
The same injury?
Same injury.
Really?
So it was just like, but it's a learning curve. You can't be stupid, but when you're young, I was strapping my ankle and I was fine.
But when you're getting that call, you want to go and play for the first team, aren't you? You're going to try and do everything you can.
100%.
Take as many painkillers and just try and get through it. But how did you deal with that setback then? And how did you deal with the other setbacks? Obviously, we talked about your motivation, your determination. Did you have any help, or did you have someone that you could always go and speak to confide in?
I'd never show it at football that it was doing me head in, but when I got home, I'd obviously end up bickering with my dad or just little snide comments. But at football, no one would see a different me. I'd turn up smiling, laughing, joking, winding people up. That'd never change, and no one will ever see the side where I was a bit
it could be difficult that because from 8 you've gone all the way up to that age group, and I'm presuming you're probably in the top 3 in every single age group up until that point, and then you've got that big jump as well physically, and you're not really getting that time to. And then, as you say, your 7th choice as well. that transition from playing every week, being the star person, it must have been difficult for you mentally.
Yeah, it was, but I think because I was so young, I didn't really think about it. I was just thinking, I'm playing football, I'm going to training and do what I can do, control what I can control. I can't control that I'm going to be playing against women at the reserves and they're a few years older than me and they're stronger than me, but I can control my first touch and what passes I make.
Yeah.
I can't control how fast my body's going to develop. And I think that was just where I was at. I've never really ever been the biggest or in the team or the strongest. I'm more a technical player, quite quick and clever on the ball. So I've just always believed in what I was good at and obviously try and develop the rest while it goes. But I can't really remember how I dealt with it and that. It was just playing football. And even when I'd come home from school or I'd always be doing extras and training, like I just would never stop kicking a ball.
Yeah, actually, I can vouch for that. Your work rate off season was like, it was up there. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I heard you used to get put in goal, mate.
didn't get put.
You
No,
get the
I'm
goals
saving
in
in. Yeah, I've saved every shot, to be
Did
fair.
you?
Yeah. When
I was saving them for the season.
Yeah. No, to be honest with you though, really, your work rate, it's no surprise that you've gone on to do what you've done. Because I think that was probably like 3 years ago, wasn't it? Maybe. And he just was relentless. Like, do you need a drink? No, let's go again. And then I remember as well the stuff he was doing, the circuit training and everything like that. It was, you just didn't leave anything to chance. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's no surprise that you're in the position you are now. But obviously, I think we've said that you've played 100 times for Liverpool at 22.
Had a little smile there.
Yeah, no,
That's unbelievable achievement.
No.
It is. You should be smiling. Like, that's unbelievable. A kid growing up in Liverpool, your dream was to play for Liverpool. You thought you was going to be playing with Gerrard for the men's team. You didn't know any different, but you've managed to play Liverpool 100 times for the first team. Like, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it hasn't really sunk in that much. I just know it's such a massive achievement because everyone's saying to me, you don't know how big that is.
Yeah.
But obviously, I just turn up to training week in, week out and try and play as much as possible and take what comes in my stride. And I didn't realise till a few weeks ago that I was at 100 appearances, like, coming up. It's just flew by. I remember making my debut and, like, it's actually gone that quick. I think people probably forget I'm only 22, I'm 23 on Sunday, but because I've been in and around the first team for so long, it's like, it just flew.
Yeah.
Like, I can remember my first training session with the first team and now I've made 100 appearances, in the team now, one of the highest.
Yeah. Just for context, like, there'll be players who are 22 who haven't made one professional first team game, who are at a professional team. Like, there'll be lads who I play with who are 22 who have not played for the first team yet.
And sometimes go on to do having a great career as well.
Yeah.
After that, you know. Well, the thing for me is, growing up in Liverpool, such a footballing city, everyone wants homegrown talent to do well. And I think, having spoke to you, what your kind of maybe superpower is the fact that you are just focused on playing football. But do you feel like added pressure playing for your hometown club at all?
Yeah, I think it means a lot more to me. I can't speak for others, but I know the results or whatever. I know I take them personal because I'm a Liverpool fan and stuff. And obviously, when you're signing players from abroad, it might be everyone wants to win, but it might not. They might not go home and have a cob on for 2 days, where I do because I'm a Liverpool. I think we should be winning every single game, like the men's attitude is, and I think the responsibility side of it. I obviously, when players come in, one of my best friends in the team, she's from Japan, and she couldn't speak a word of English when she first signed, and now she speaks Scouse. So it's like not a responsibility, but like she's bought into our culture and like wants to be like us. She wants to know more, and I think if anyone's there to help her to develop and get used to living in a new city, it's only me who's from Liverpool who can do that. So I think stuff like that, or if someone's tires in the team, like got a flat tire, they always ring me.
Are
Cause
you the only local player at the moment?
there's younger one two younger ones coming through from Liverpool who train with us, and like they're doing really, really well. But at the minute, I'm the only one
Really?
who's been around and playing. So
So
like,
a lot of people are looking to you for like little things, like you're the person who's going to sort all the stuff out, basically.
yeah, so if someone's got a flat tire or
Yeah.
needs the car service, and which garage should we go?
Yeah.
There's little things like, so
Yeah.
then I have to ring my dad because I don't have a clue.
You just take all the pressure on, then ring your dad.
Yeah, and then they get sorted, so they all go the same
But to do
garage
all
now.
that, like, not even, obviously that's just like a little mess about thing, but like when you said about your best mate from Japan, like when she's coming in, so obviously she's not going to feel comfortable in the environment, but you're only 22 yourself, so for you to have that mindset to want to go out there to help other people and make them feel comfortable, that's a great mindset and mentality to have.
Yeah, I think it's because you've just got to treat everyone how you'd like to be treated, and I don't know what it's like to move away and move somewhere new, not speak a language, because I've never experienced it, but I'd like to hope that if I was ever in them scenarios, or if I ever went to a new place, or if I go on holiday to a new country,
Yeah.
I like to be treated how people would treat me, if that makes
I
sense.
have that. I have that at football. Like all the lads always wound me up about it. But like when someone new comes in, no matter who it is, it could be a new staff member, a football player, someone in the canteen, chef or whatever. I always go out my way to make them feel comfortable. Like, and I'll be over the top nice just to make them feel comfortable and all that. But then a week later, I mightn't speak to them again because I'll find out whether I like them or not. But the first thing I'll do is just make sure that they feel comfortable, and then I'll decide whether I want to speak to them again after that. Once they're all comfortable and stuff like that. But I always try my best to just make
that's nice.
make people feel comfortable. But
yeah.
doesn't mean like I'm trying to get my words out right. It's not like I'm being a lick-ass and want to be mates with people because I mightn't speak to them again after a week or two. But when they first come through the door, I will go out my way to make them feel comfortable.
Yeah. Liverpool's moving on from that. Liverpool's like a city full of culture, and obviously we've got some great musicians and bands, and obviously we've got a lot of artwork around the city. You've now got a big mural in Anfield, isn't it? Is it in the next street of Trent?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the next street of Trent. I can't imagine how that would feel personally, but when that got put up, did you have any knowledge that it was going to go up, or did it just spring up on you before?
So it was meant to be a surprise. I didn't have no idea that it was getting done. But social media now, the day before, I was meant to be getting brought there to see it. It's a picture. It's been my profile picture on social media since we won the league, and it's the picture of me kissing the trophy. So they'd done the whole body, the trophy, the medal, everything, and they drew out the face and the hair, but it just wasn't painted, the face and the hair yet, but everything else was. Someone's walked past, seen it, and tagged me in it on Twitter.
Did you know straight away it was
I
you?
knew straight away it was me. But it was the next day.
Was there going to be like a grand reveal for you, was there?
So obviously I rang my dad straight away. Oh my God. And he was like, what? I was like, look at your phone.
Yeah.
I forwarded him on WhatsApp. And he was like, wow. And because it was just such a shock, like still now I get goosebumps and I shake speaking about it because I just can't believe it.
It's actually mental. Like it's mad.
I'm grateful for the people who organised it, the women's fan bases and the hotels nearby, because they all bought into it and got it done. But I think it's massive for women's football and Liverpool Women, because people go to the match and they go and see the other murals, but if young girls are seeing that walking into Anfield, they know it's possible for them to fulfill their dreams. Where me growing up, I would never have seen a women's footballer on the wall on my way to a men's game to think that's where I want to get to. So I think it's a good inspiration for the young girls, and like I was that young girl who was looking up to someone, because that's how they've done the mural. It's a girl who comes to all our matches.
All right, okay.
She's looking up at me, kissing the trophy on the mural, and I think I was that girl looking up to your Liverpool legends, and now it's the other way around. So I think it's massive, and any way I can have a good impact on anyone, I'd like to.
That is actually unbelievable. Like you said, we couldn't imagine a picture of us on someone's house. I can't even imagine a picture of me in my own house, to be honest. Ellie wouldn't even fucking allow me to have a picture of me in my own house. But to have a big mural on someone else's house, like, you are a role model for all the girls out there, especially in Liverpool. And you do a lot in the community to go out your way to help and, you know, try and encourage younger girls to play football. Do you want to talk us a bit through that?
Yeah, I think if I've got a day off or whatever, I like going and watching my dad's mates' daughters all play, and I like going and watching them and their teams. And I went on Saturday, watched them, and it was on Jericho, and I hadn't been there for a few months because I don't get the time sometimes. And I seen my old girls team there, the same coach who used to coach me was there, and she had like 4 teams round her, where she just still is so driven and running the team called Liverpool Feds. And she said, oh, I've been here for 4 hours, I've had under 9s, 10s, 11s, 12s, and I think just things like that. And she was like, will you get a picture with the girls? And I was thinking, like, I should be asking you for the picture.
Yeah.
You're still doing this now, so many years later, and nothing's changed. And I think that's how good it is. And for me to give back, it's everything, because that's where I've come from. And I used to just be playing on Jericho, on Head and Eccles, and obviously now I'm fortunate enough to be playing in stadiums and stuff.
Do you realise, like, how much of an impact you've had on, like, a lot of girls in Liverpool?
I think it's hard to say this, by the way, and because I know you're a humble person as well, but it's hard to understand the impact probably internally, but obviously
we can speak about it,
exactly,
can't we?
externally we can look and say, like, that picture might, as I think obviously you do it anyway, but that picture might just like change someone's whole trajectory on their journey of like wanting to be like, it might be like 75% effort to try and be a footballer. That little picture might just change it, and just like, it might just be a you know, like a switch that does everything for all these young girls and lads as well, as you say.
Well, I remember when I was growing up, and I'd be bumping into men's players, and I'd want a picture with them, and if I got one, it'd make me day. I've still got all the pictures, but then there's obviously been times where they'd be like, oh, in a rush. And I used to break your heart. So, like, I'd never be that person to break someone's heart, because I've been there and I know what it feels like. And you're not doing, when that young kid's not doing anything, they're just asking for something because they love it. Like, they're driven in the game. And that was me. I was just obsessed with Liverpool, obsessed with football. So for me, it's absolutely nothing to give me time and whatever, because you don't know what people are going through, and you don't know how happy it makes them feel. And I think that's why I like it.
Yeah, I can remember my days actually on half term or whatever, when we were off school, like going to Melwood and just waiting for the players to drive past, and just hoping that they'd stop the car just to get a picture or get them to sign something and all that. And when they did, it was unbelievable. And when they didn't, I remember thinking, you fucking dickhead, I just stop and take the picture with me. So now I'm the same as well. Like, I'll always go out my way. Like, not many people will want my signature, like, but when they do, like, I'll make sure I go out my way to do that.
But it's
because
all relative, isn't it? It's all relative. Like, you know, them Doncaster fans, obviously now it's different now, but like at some point they're like, you're like on a pedestal to them. You're a first team player as well. So like, obviously yourself, I know humbly you're probably not thinking this, but you're basically where most players want to be, in the city, playing for the local club as well. So yeah, obviously the fact that you do give them time, it's massive. It is massive. This podcast is sponsored by Blythe House, financial advisors for high net worth individuals and business owners. If you're looking for advice in pensions, investments, mortgages, inheritance tax planning, life cover, business loans, and asset finance, then Blythe House has the expertise for you. Head over to the show notes on whatever platform you're listening to this on to find out more. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like and follow the page. Thank you.
Obviously, your partner, Liam Walsh, is a footballer as well. He plays for Swansea in the Championship. How does that work? How does that relationship work? Obviously, both being footballers. Pros and cons, actually.
It's quite tough in a sense of it's distance. I'm in Liverpool, I'm at home. He's in Swansea, it's 4 hours away.
Yeah.
Plus then schedules are completely different. So majority of the time they play Tuesday, Saturdays. I play on Sundays. So the days we're in are completely different. Then international breaks, we have a different international break to them. So when they're off, I'm in still. And when I'm on international, I don't get the time off.
Yeah.
So it's tough in that sense. But then the pros to it is like the experiences we've both had. Like it's good to have someone to talk through them with and someone who understands. So like if might have not been the best session yesterday, for example, I say our training wasn't that good today, that's that then.
Yeah.
It doesn't get spoke about again. It's not
Asking loads of questions.
because we're both doing the same
Yeah.
thing every single day. We know what it's
You
a
can
good
relate
day
to
and
each
what
other.
we can relate to each other, and it's really good in that sense. And obviously Liam's a very good player, but I
Yeah.
still win on two touch
Do you?
sometimes.
Do you play two touch now?
Only if we walk past the ball in the
You have
kitchen.
say, come on, let's have a game of two touch.
Yeah, but then he'll win sometimes, I'll win, and we're both very competitive.
Yeah.
And
Andre
that type.
found it funny when you told us the other day that when you play the game and all that, he say to you, you need to check your shoulder more and all that.
Yeah, he says I don't check my shoulders enough. I'm always square.
Canal, you'll be breaking your neck next week.
Do you know what though?
Shoulder all the time.
You're gonna
But
you're gonna respect it from a player of his caliber, aren't you? Realistically, I know he's your partner, but you know he's not talking from like no disrespect, but like no football knowledge. He's been there and he's been at a high level, hasn't he? So
Yeah, the thing is, I know he's right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I can remember that when he's saying that I didn't do it, I can remember that moment. So you're biting your lip and you want to disagree,
Yeah.
but he's right most of the time. So, well, some of the time and then ones, but I think it's good and we get the same summers off. So it'll be nice to spend some time together in
Yeah.
the summer. And if we get days off, obviously we make the effort to see each other and stuff.
yeah,
On the obviously when you said there, it helps when you come home from a bad day of training, then it just gets wiped under the carpet and all that. Like football is a roller coaster, and when you come home, like you said before, when you was going for your hard time, you didn't take it into football. You'd be the smiley person, you'd go home and then you'd be like biting at your dad or whatever. So what happens with partners? Luckily for me, I told you, like my wife doesn't have a fucking clue about footy, so she doesn't say nothing about football. So I get away with murder. So we don't really talk about it when I have a bad day or a good day. It just gets wiped under the floor. But like I've got mates whose partners think that they know a lot about football, and she talks to them about like formations or she'll know and talk
Name
about
names.
Joe's bed. Joe's fiance, they're getting married in the summer actually. But yeah, Hannah like tell him like what to do and all, but she'd never played football before, so I found that funny. Like she'll probably say that I'm shit or whatever, do you know what I mean? But she loves the football, loves it. Like she goes all the games.
So she's a fan.
She's she's a
Okay.
sports fan.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
she loves sports. Like she goes and watch every sports. But she's like she thinks she's like Pep Guardiola. Do you know what I mean? When Joe has a bad game, she'll tell him straight to all. I remember thinking, fucking hell, shut up. You know what I mean? But it is important when you're going on, like to have that relationship where you can just needs to just not be spoken about. Like I can speak about my mum and dad. Like my mum and dad care so much about me, not really about football, but me. So obviously my life is football. So they'll ask me all the time and all that. I'm gonna have to speak to them in the summer because this summer I'm gonna be out of contract. And obviously being out in India for a while, like 2.5 years, they're gonna be texting me every day in the summer. Have you heard anything yet? Have you heard anything yet? And then that'll do my head in. So I'm gonna have to just tell them, listen, I'll tell you now if you listen, you probably won't listen, like, but just don't text me. Like I'll let you know if you hear anything, because there's nothing worse in the off season if you're out of contract and you haven't heard anything yet and people are texting you all the time. Have you heard anything yet? What's happening? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. I haven't heard anything yet.
The chances are, once you've heard something and something's
I'll
concrete,
tell them, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
But it is important to have them relationships, especially with your partner, to have that understanding that obviously this is our relationship, that's football, but if you've got that way you can bounce off each other and help you and help your football careers, then you're on to a winner, aren't you?
Yeah, I think as well, Liam's proper professional and eats clean all the time. He's on it all the time, and that's what's made me kick on a bit more, because a few years ago I was, still now I've got a sweet tooth, but like I'll get told, it's not like don't eat chocolate, but he's like, come
Feel
on.
a little bit more accountable, a bit.
I feel a bit more accountable, and like it's a lot more, I know I'm being a bit more professional and making sure I'm fueling right, because I know he is, and I know what's right to do, because I know anyway. But like if he's home, I'll be like, oh, should we go and get Chinese or whatever?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
no, I'll cook. But like it's just
Yeah,
little
no,
things
it's easier
like
if
that.
both of you are on the same page.
Same
It's much
page,
easier.
yeah.
Like John stopped off at Burger King the other day, and then he ate this, so he made meat.
No. Did we? Did we get a Burger King? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
And I had
you
tuna
didn't
next
get
day,
shouted at
didn't I?
for that, didn't you?
First time I've had a Burger King in ages. And we went to Scotland to do a podcast and I was fucking starving. There was nothing else to do. The options were limited.
No, I was looking at the M&S.
I hate Burger King.
That's horrendous.
Same.
It was
Burger
absolute,
King.
the burger was honestly like a toy burger. I was in
Nah, he
shock.
was arguing with the man behind the whatever it's called. You was out of order.
I had to
actually.
fight with him.
No, you didn't.
I was just like, is that the size of the burgers these days? Because I haven't had one for that long. But
So I was
anyway,
like,
that's a different story. But yeah, you obviously get held a lot more accountable, don't you? When two of you are on the same page.
Yeah.
But I didn't speak about it before. But obviously with your mural, you know, that's an unbelievable moment for yourself. But I think the first person you messaged was your dad.
Yeah, I think for my family, when the day after when we all went, there was like 50 of us there, my whole family, even the side of my family who's got Everton in them.
Yeah.
They were there because they knew I've dreamed of this and said all my life I'm going to play football. When they wanted me to wear dresses for parties, I'd say no, I'm wearing a kit.
Yeah.
And we've had that back and forth, like clash all my life growing up. And I think like my mum, my nan, my auntie, seeing them with smiles on their faces, it was like relief because they used to always be saying to me, you've got to have a backup plan, like, which rightly so.
Yeah.
Like they were right in saying that, but I was just like, I'm going to play football, and seeing them do how happy they was and like emotional it was for us all to be there. It was amazing.
What work do you do for the community? You're an ambassador for the community, is it? The foundation role in Liverpool.
Yeah, so recently I got the role of being an ambassador for the foundation, and it's about giving back. So going and helping out in food banks, going down to the community sessions that Liverpool put on for in schools and for young kids, getting involved and just showing my face and helping when I can, when I've got spare time, because it's not often I do have spare time, but when I do, I've got nothing really else to do because you just go home and watch the telly or Netflix. So an hour after training every few weeks showing up and helping out is what I want to do, and to help the city, because every city's the same. There's goods and there's bads, and I think at the minute you can see that there's a lot, the bads sometimes outweighing the goods, and if I can have an impact and help and guide young kids in the best way possible, I'd like to. So that's why I decided to take on this role.
Yeah.
Go on.
I think obviously with the foundation thing, it's very rare that players of your caliber are coming down. So the fact that when you do show up, you can imagine for those kids who are on those sessions, it's just like be going home telling all the family and friends, Missy come down today, and that again kind of further kind of, don't know. What you're doing, what I'm trying to say is what you're doing is massive, and as you say, it might just only be an hour, but it can make someone's day, maybe even week.
It's important what you said as well, though, because like being a footballer, you have to do like player appearances that comes in your contract. You have to do them. So a lot of players don't want to do them. You said there, it's what you want to do. Like you want to give back, you want to do it. So having that at such a young age as well, like that's a credit to you to want to give back. But I think that comes from obviously playing for Liverpool. It's your city. You want to be a role model. So you wanting to do it is even more important.
Yeah, and I think what opened my eyes up was when I went to food bank, and there was a lady there, and she'd been working there for 7 years, and she was already retired, so she's doing it voluntarily. And I said, how long have you been doing it? She said 7 years, and she said, and I'm not going to stop until food poverty stops. And for me, it was just like, wow, she was just so driven and goes every day to help to make sure people have food. And she was like, you'd be surprised the people and the amount of people who come who are struggling. It'll be people that you didn't even think were struggling, and they are, because of everything that's changing. And for me, saying that was like, wow, it just shows how much she's putting into it to make sure people are getting food and stuff. And that for me, if she can do it after she's already retired,
Exactly, yeah.
I can. I'm still young, and it's nothing for me.
People like her, there's a lot of people like her who doing a voluntary was so inspirational, and obviously she's inspired you to do that. But like I said before, a 22-year-old girl to get inspired at that age and want to do it and want to do more than what you have to do it's just really good. So
It just feels like there's been like a couple moments, like obviously you going back and seeing the lady who's at the Feds and she's still doing it, and then obviously this lady that you've met as well who've maybe inspired you, because as John said, it is the people in the background, isn't it, who can make all these things happen. Everyone thinks that it's just there and it just happens, or like Missy just pops up out of nowhere or anything, but obviously there's a lot of people who've put a lot of work into yourself along your journey. Is it so? Obviously, your dad taking you to your games, and then you said the lady from the Feds. Is there anyone else that would like kind of credit your success to?
My nan, I remember after school, she used to pick me up, feed me, and then take me to training because my mum was in work and stuff, and she used to be stood under an umbrella getting soaking wet, and she used to say, "Why can't you be doing dance and ballet? It's inside." And like, she didn't have a clue about football, but now she comes to all our games. She'd come to watch me for England. Like, she loves it now, and like, she'll sit and watch football because of me, where a few years ago she wasn't interested in it. Well, she's always just done it because it's me and I wanted to do it. And so she's one. But there's so many people. It's my whole family, really. We're a close family, and we just all got each other's backs, and that's how we've grew up. And I've never forgot where I've come from and where we've all come from. So
yeah,
you mentioned England before. You're captain for England under 23s. How big of achievement is that?
yeah, it's been a massive season being captain of the 23s. Because I've worked my way through the age groups and never been captain before. So to get the opportunity, it was like a big responsibility, but also a massive honour. And I think the stage of my career now, having that bit of extra responsibility and stuff, was only going to make me a better player on and off the pitch. And I think I'm glad it come at that time, give me a bit of confidence, and also it's developed me because I've had to do things differently when going on camp and stuff, and you've got a bit more of a role to play. And if you would have asked me 2 years ago, I'd have probably just said, "Oh, I'd rather not want the extra. I'd just rather focus on myself." But I think I'm at a mature age now where it's brought me on so much, and it's opened my eyes up, and how few things that I can say can impact others, and vice versa. When they say stuff to me, it can impact me. And I think I've learned so much this season, and I've enjoyed every minute of it.
And you enjoyed the responsibilities now, like you said?
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. And obviously I was Liverpool's youngest captain last season or the season before, I can't remember, but I've obviously had these little opportunities of captaincy roles, but not consistently at a top level. Growing up, I also was captain of the youth ages, but it's completely different when you're adults and you're playing and the games matter. And I think I like being a leader, and I always like voicing my opinion, whether people like it or they don't. I'll always say it, because I think you've either got to take it or you can't. You can't start crying at our age. So,
but I think being a captain, obviously, like you said before, it's on and off the pitch, and I think the managers will see everything that you've just been telling us there is a captain material. Like all the responsibilities that you've done, like you make coming over from Japan, like you're making it feel comfortable, like helping people out in the city, going out and doing all the foundation work, like that is being a captain. So I think the managers have obviously seen that, and you've earned it.
What kind of roles and responsibilities does like an England under 23s captain have? Like, I know you said before you'd say you'd rather not, but what differs now on those camps?
So obviously it's elite environment, and we've been this year program is in place where it's like mirroring the first team. So one home game, one away game each camp. So it was obviously flying. You'd play, travel the next day, and it's a lot more intense. International football's very intense of the travel, and they don't get to spend a lot of time with you. So when you're there, we've got to make the most of it. So me voicing getting the team's opinion on things and voicing it back, just how we're feeling, and just little things like that, where in the past I would just say how I was feeling and let someone else do it for me. So having just little roles and stuff like that, making sure, I know it's stupid, but like kit, making sure everything's back, save the kit man and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Like just little things.
So like the middle person between
The
obviously
link,
the staff and then obviously the
Yeah.
girls, the girls as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's all, like, in every changing room I've had, like, it's always been important that you've got that, because it's not like say if I was thinking it myself and it come from me, like, it'd come across bad to the gaffer and that, where if the captain goes up and voices my opinion but doesn't mention my name, it comes from, like, the team are thinking this, like, training's been too hard this week, like, we need to calm it down, because obviously they're feeling a bit tired before a Saturday. So having that relationship between the gaffer and the captain helps the team environment, and it helps the club going forward. And I think a lot of teams now are having, like, a senior group, so there's like 4 or 5 people in the team instead of just the captain, to have like meetings with the gaffer. So then it's not just the captain, there's 4 or 5 of you can have them conversations for the whole
Misty's
squad.
that senior one, even though she's only 22.
I know, like 22, and you're obviously the captain. But what are the plans like to break into the England's first team now going forward for you?
I think it's obviously people are getting opportunities, so I know it's possible to make that step into the first team, but everyone's pathway and everyone's career is different. I've just got to focus on me and trust that what I'm good at will get me in there, and work on things that I need to work on. But I obviously wanted to try and get in this season. Could still happen,
Yeah.
never know, but just taking it day by day, and when it's right, everything falls into place at the right time.
Obviously, I was going to say, what's it like putting an England kit on, but like, you've got the best of both worlds. You're putting on obviously a Liverpool kit that everyone dreams of, being from Liverpool, and then obviously every kid growing up dreams of playing for England as well. You're obviously doing both. So how does it feel when you're putting on the kit? Like, I know that's a mad question, but like, obviously we dream of it as kids to put on that red kit and then obviously the England kit.
I think it's a massive honour putting on both of them, but the story that from under 17 Euros, when we got there, we had a team meeting when they give us our squad numbers and stuff, and each year the Euro symbol at the youth age was a different colour.
Yeah.
So then you got your number, you got your shirt and whatever, and the manager done a speech and said, that shirt, no one else ever in the world will get to wear that shirt but you, because of the symbol, the number, and it was like, wow. Because he was like, you out of 20 players have got the opportunity to wear this shirt,
Yeah.
but only you with this number. And it was like, wow, you don't realise how big it actually is. So then from then it made me realise how big it is, and you never take a game for granted or a youth cap. And I think now it's being hungry and pushing for, everyone wants to be at the top.
We always say about like the percentages of professional footballers, but I think even in the women's game, like the percentages must be so much lower as well.
Yeah.
Like, to be in that minority, like to play for, obviously become a professional footballer, then to play for Liverpool, then to play for England, the percentages in the world must be so tiny. Like, to be able to have done that, it's incredible, isn't
I
it?
think one thing which strikes me is the person of experience saying it how it is basically, and you resonating with it. Like, no one else will be able to wear this. And obviously when you're playing, you're just in the moment. You're just, as you say, you're just playing, and all you're focusing on is that. But I think you said that you had a manager who's quite passionate as well.
Yeah.
And used to like sometimes cry before games.
Well,
but like that is the level of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, realistically, where you are in that moment, millions of people would love to be. And as a youngster, you obviously just there and you're just going, right, I'm going to play football, I want to play as well as I can. But stepping back and looking from an outside looking in, obviously they're talking from experience. I think it's great to sometimes analyse and look at that just to know that you're doing well and you're on the right path as well. For obviously you want to do many bigger things as well, but it's going well and you're on the right path. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. What is the biggest moments in your football career, or like the biggest high you've had? Obviously, I'm guessing off the pitch that mural, how do you say it? Mural is obviously nothing could probably come close to that, but on the pitch, what's like the best feeling you've ever had?
Some people, you could either say this is on or off the pitch, but signing your first professional contract, that for me, and your debut is massive. I think signing the contract, your first one, all your hard work growing up, it's like relief. Mine was 2 years, my first deal, so it was all that hard work and relief for my next 2 year trial. But I think that feeling was surreal, and I could probably, even the next contracts that I've signed, you can never get
that
over
feeling
how
to the first
good
one.
that. No, I think that they're all the same, but your first one just shows all the time, the things you've sacrificed on, hard work, your ability, all paying off. And then once you've done that, it's right, I'm fighting for the next one.
You can enjoy it for a second, can't you? And then obviously, it's like, right, well, it's not given that I'm here now. I've got to work hard. But that's the mentality.
You said there, you're fighting for the next one. Where a lot of people, like we said before, will sign that contract, and if they signed a 2 year, 3 year deal, a lot of people, they won't admit it, but a lot of people do just relax and they don't try and kick on for the next one and stuff like that. So to have that mentality, that's what gets to an elite level. I wanted to ask, what's it like being a scouser, playing in a derby?
I like playing in the derbies. I think the massive games, obviously, when we've played them recently, we drew with them, probably should have won, and in the past last season didn't get the results we wanted. But derbies are derbies. It doesn't matter where you are in the table, how well you're playing or doing. It's a different game, and it's who turns up on the day.
We said that about the Rangers derby, didn't we? We was asking Connor about the same, and he said the same. It can go either way, and it's just like who turns up on the day. Basically, it's like a cup game, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the derbies are played on the men's grounds, aren't they? And you're getting some good attendances, aren't you? Obviously, there's a lot of talk about this, like the awareness of the game of football for women and stuff like that. Can you see it kind of growing in momentum and stuff?
Yeah, I can see it from since England won the Euros, how much it's changed. And I can see like over the 5 years. So I remember when I was watching Liverpool Women when I was younger, and it was at Widnes Rugby Stadium.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
And then it was on the 4G, and that was when Liverpool used to win the league. And they were top team in the country. Now, most Arsenal are playing in the Emirates half of the games a season. Every Champions League game they're playing at the Emirates. That's where the game's going, and it's only gonna get more exciting and bigger and better.
I've actually played with Jill Scottman at St George's Park. I was doing rehab at St George's Park, and she was doing rehab, and she was doing a session on her own, and I was doing a session on my own, and she needed someone to do passes with because she wanted to practice it. That's what I call it, passes. She wanted to practice a pass and all that, and obviously I was a winger and I wanted to do crossing, so she was just ringing it out to me. And I mean, I don't think I'd want to go for a header with her. I think she might beat me in the air. But I think a lot of people don't realise how good the women's game is and how good the players are, and I think obviously it is growing now, and like you said, the fans are starting to come through the doors, and it's important, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's getting the credit the game deserves, and long may it continue while the game's getting bigger and better.
It'll only benefit you anyway if it keeps on.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Do you have any immediate goals then for yourself?
Just finish the season on a high, try and score, assist a few more in the next few games, and then a solid pre-season, and obviously keep pushing next season.
You set yourself goals, obviously being an attacking midfielder. Did you set yourself goals targets for X amount of assists and goals and stuff like that?
Yeah, this season's been a bit up and down in that sense though. First early on the season I scored against Everton in the derby at Anfield, best 15 seconds of my life. Goal got disallowed, I was offside. Then when we got reviewed and wherever it wasn't. So just things haven't been falling into places nicely, but it's part of football, and next season hopefully it's the complete opposite.
What do you think of goals and targets and all that? Because I've always been a bit up and down with them, whether to do them or not. What are your thoughts on doing personal goals and team goals? It's hard, isn't it? Because obviously football is a team game, but it's hard to do
Yeah, no, it's hard. I think obviously you alluded to before when you said about being an attacking midfielder, like it can change the trajectory of your game or like whatever, like scoring a goal or getting an assist, it can change a lot, can't it? So it's just, me personally, when I was playing, I set myself goals.
Did you always do it?
Yeah, but I'm not playing.
Did you ever? Did you ever reach your goals?
Probably not. No, but
I think that's why I've given up on them. I used to put goals and targets and never used to hit them, so I used to swerve them.
I think it's good having them in place because it's something to work towards, but then you can't get disappointed if you don't reach them, because if you're setting yourself a goal, everyone backs themselves, so your goal's probably very, very high. So then it's about working and trying to achieve it or achieving it. And if it doesn't, you've got to be realistic and be like, well, why didn't it happen? Was it the state of the game? Like, was it down to you why you didn't reach the goals? Was you not working hard enough? Was you not practicing? Then that's when it's the problem. And you probably realise it's not the goal that's the problem. It's probably you and your attitude towards it. But everyone's different.
I think they need to, obviously goals need to be realistic. I remember playing with League One at the time, and he used to have a Premier League badge on his fridge, and obviously not piss on his parade, but like I generally didn't see him getting close to the Premier League. But obviously he had them goals for himself, so it was like hard to like have the conversation with him because his goals were to go and play in the Premier League. But I mean, my opinion doesn't count for nothing. Like, but he didn't get the Premier League basically. But you need to be realistic, don't they? But they do say,
you know what? There's some. I'm not saying there's bad players in the Premier League, but there's some really good players playing lower down than what they should be, and then equally there might be some players who maybe overachieved as well, isn't it? So
I suppose if you aim for something big and then you fall just a little bit shorter, not bad, so you might as well aim for the.
Because I think if you're playing football and growing up when you're playing football, you're dreaming to be in the Premier League, in the WSL, in the top league. So why? Because something you might not be there just yet. I think why change your dream from when you was a kid?
Yeah,
so
true. No one's
anything can happen in football, and I've always had the exact same dreams when I'm younger to now, and sometimes they've come true, and some I've still wanted to achieve, but I'm not going to change them.
I mean, a lot of your dreams have come true already at a young age, so anything's probably possible for you.
You never know, though.
I know. Who do you think's the best women's football at the minute?
Lauren James is very good. English. Alex Greenwood.
I feel like that Lauren James has that kind of level of arrogance that we said about Curtis before. Like, she knows that she's probably going to be one of the best players every time she steps on, doesn't she?
Yeah,
Is she that good?
She's so good. But who's winning everything, all the individual awards now is Bon Mattia, Barcelona, and just won the World Cup with Spain. I think right now she's on fire. But English players right now, I'd probably say Lauren, Alex Greenwood.
You can win a Ballon d'Or, can't you? Fancy you? Never know, do you?
Why not?
You need to get that in your fridge. A picture of a Ballon d'Or.
I don't think the fridge thing worked, you said.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it might work for you. It just worked for him because he weren't good.
No, listen, I think we've covered a lot of things which are going to help a lot of people who may have been in your shoes 10 years ago or whatever. So I can only say thank you for coming down. And you're a credit to your family, yourself, obviously Liverpool, the city as well. Yeah, you're doing a big thing for the city as well. So, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Nice one, Missy. Thank you very much.